Alright, how is everybody doing today? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Coinbase IPO that's coming in just 1 to 2 days, depending on when you're watching this. It's going to be huge. This is probably going to be my last video on the Coinbase IPO, but I'm going to make one more when it actually IPOs. So when we know the price, probably the day of the IPO, I'll make my final video of the Coinbase IPO, actually talking about it, because we'll know how much it's trading at the moment, and we should know some more financials and stuff about the Coinbase IPO. So make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel, as I'm going to be posting a lot more videos on that and other stock related videos. So make sure you guys are subscribed. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So if any of you guys can do that, that'll be really appreciated. Now, obviously, Bitcoin has been hovering around 60,000 right now, and it's been pretty flat for the last month, right? For literally since March, it's been hovering around 60, dipped down to the low 50s, but it's been pretty stationary, at least for Bitcoin, at least. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Last video, I talked about how Coinbase absolutely destroyed earnings, right? I believe this is the one where Q1 revenue jumped 9-fold. So I talked about that last video. If you haven't seen it, make sure to check it out. That was nuts. They went from 1 billion or 1.8 billion, something like that, all of 2020 to 1.8 billion in 1 quarter. So they did massive numbers there, and that was nuts. Is that going to continue? I'll mention that in this video. I personally don't think that could continue, or the growth cannot continue in that scale, just because I think the reason that happened was, if you look at the Bitcoin chart, I believe what I'm seeing is Coinbase and the way they get a lot of their customers and people to sign up, trade, etc., has a lot to do with how popular Bitcoin is at the time. So if Bitcoin, let's say, crashes and goes down in price a lot and stays there, Coinbase will take a hit, obviously, right? Now, that's pretty self-explanatory. But the reason why Coinbase especially did so good in Q1, if you guys probably don't or haven't come to the conclusion, is most likely because of the fact that obviously Bitcoin went from 30K and 1 quarter later went to 60K. So it basically doubled. And since then, it went from 10K to 30K, which was pretty huge. And then it doubled again, and that was huge. So if it doubles again, let's say Bitcoin goes to 100K, Coinbase will see massive growth there. So now, where can you guys buy the Coinbase IPO when it IPOs? Is probably going to be on Robinhood, on any brokerage. Yeah, definitely on Robinhood. It's going to be in every single brokerage, basically, just because of the massive amount of people and the size of Coinbase being at the market cap it is. So you guys will be able to buy it in basically every single brokerage, because sometimes some IPOs don't show up in like Robinhood and stuff, but even then that'll show up for sure, no doubt about it. Now the price, we know that they have roughly 185 million, 186 million shares outstanding since January of this year, since the beginning of this year, and it probably might be even more than this. We see that they have issued some shares in the past, but not a whole lot. So it could be at 190 billion, let's say, of shares outstanding. But let's say you take 190 billion, right? And then you times it by $500 a share. Let's say it IPOs at $500 a share. You have the company at 9 billion, or not 9 billion, but 900, or let's see here, 94 billion, really close to basically the 100 billion mark, and that's going to be huge. If they IPO at 100 billion, that'll be nuts. But I think most likely what's reasonable is basically in the private markets, it was at around 300 billion or so. But since this news, I'm not going to talk too much about this, but since this news came out about the revenues jumping, we might see the stock absolutely explode, because this is a direct listing play. So basically, when it IPOs, anything can happen. Like, it could jump a lot. I believe Airbnb had a direct listing. Don't quote me on that. And if you pull up their chart, basically what we saw was they IPO'd, and they IPO'd at like 138, 139, and in seconds, it just jumped all the way to 160. So it jumped 13% just like that when it IPO'd. Obviously, it fluctuated a little bit, but nonetheless, it never saw 139 until it went down a little bit, but it never hit the 30s again since it IPO'd. And I think something very similar is going to happen with Coinbase. Now, it's very likely that they do IPO around the $400, even $500 mark. And if the shares outstanding is around 900 million, then we should be seeing $100 billion market cap. That's going to be nuts. Now, let's take a look at how some other stuff in crypto is actually valued. Because at this moment, I think a pretty good comparison would be Binance, right? Now, this isn't a direct comparison, but if we look at Binance Coin, the Binance Coin market cap is at $93 billion. Now, that is huge. Now, this just happened today and just in the last bit, where I think just today even, the Coinbase not Coinbase, but the Binance Coin's up 20% today. I don't know if this is because people think Coinbase is going to be so big, but basically Binance is one of the biggest exchanges based in China. It's probably as big. I don't know the numbers, man. I don't want to say something wrong, but don't want to give off wrong information. But Binance is huge. I don't know if it's bigger than Coinbase, but it definitely can compete with Coinbase in terms of people using it, especially people outside of the US, because this is a China-based brokerage. So, in terms of crypto, and yeah, basically they're at 93 billion. So I wouldn't be surprised if Coinbase does reach the 100 billion mark. That would be nuts. That would be absolutely crazy. Now, we saw that basically, next thing I want to talk about is, let's say you guys are thinking about buying Coinbase, the IPO. It's going to be ticker symbol COIN when it does IPO. Let me know in the comments if you guys are going to be purchasing it. Now, the thing with this is that if you guys want to buy the Coinbase IPO, you're most likely very bullish on crypto. Unless you want to do some trading. I wouldn't recommend trading this IPO. I mean, it's so volatile. You might as well just trade Bitcoin or something. But I mean, if you want to trade the Coinbase IPO, do your thing. I'm not a trader, so I can't give you any tips on that. But in terms of an investing approach, if you're trying to buy Coinbase, you're most likely very bullish on the crypto space. So if you guys want to put money in the crypto space, let's say, I mean, you have a few options. One, you could buy straight up Bitcoin or straight up Ethereum, or you could buy a Coinbase IPO, which basically benefits on the whole crypto space. So as the whole crypto space basically evolves and gets bigger, Coinbase is 100% going to be growing with it, like for sure, no doubt about it. And they could potentially even grow even more. So let's say we saw Bitcoin double, right? In Q1, in the first quarter of this year, Bitcoin doubled. But Coinbase grew 9-fold in terms of revenue. Now, that is crazy. Now, they grew 9-fold year over year, so that's not quarter over quarter. So if we look in the first quarter of last year, I mean, yeah, it is pretty much the same. I mean, we saw Coinbase grow 9-fold, but then also Bitcoin also grew 9-fold in terms of that. So, I mean, if you guys... So yeah, you can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum. You can also buy a Coinbase IPO, stuff like that. You can also buy, there's stocks like MicroStrategies that basically hold a ton of Bitcoin. So you're basically buying, let's say you buy MicroStrategies. Basically, they own billions of Bitcoin, and they're basically pretty smart about it, where they buy Bitcoin when it dips. They slowly buy it. They use all the revenue from their business to buy the Bitcoin. So basically, MicroStrategies makes 500 million a year on average this year in revenue. And they basically use that to buy Bitcoin. Like, they're pretty crazy with it. So you guys can do that as a Bitcoin play. But in my opinion, if you guys want to know my opinion, if you guys are looking to put this, I would probably put money into Coinbase rather than buying straight up Bitcoin, in my opinion. One, if Bitcoin goes up, your Coinbase IPO goes up. But if you buy Bitcoin, let's say one day Bitcoin isn't as big and you have stuff like Ripple, Ethereum grow even more than Bitcoin grow. Coinbase is going to grow with it for sure. But let's say you buy Bitcoin and it just stumbles, it goes to 100K. I feel like there's less risk buying a Coinbase than there is buying a Bitcoin. And when you buy Coinbase, you're buying a service where they're actually generating a ton of money. If you buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin isn't necessarily generating you money. It's just sitting there, and you're hoping it goes up in price. So same could be said about stocks, right? You're hoping the stock will go up in price. But in terms of like a business move, I wouldn't be too against buying a Coinbase IPO in terms of having a company, instead of buying straight up an asset like this, just buying an IPO or a stock where it actually benefits on Bitcoin, but also has that chance of, as the whole crypto space grows, you have other stuff growing with it as well. Let's say Cardano and stuff. Let's say this gets to 1 trillion one day, like Bitcoin. You're also going to see Coinbase get a lot of traction from that as well. Obviously, a lot of volume goes through Coinbase when you're doing these things. I mean, you have, can you sort this by market cap? Obviously, you have, let's say Ethereum hits a billion one or 1 trillion one day, and Bitcoin stays at 1-2 trillion. So it doubles, but this one triples, quadruples. You're going to see a lot more people in using Coinbase, right? So I think that's a very interesting proposition there. You guys can also do 50-50. But another thing you guys can do if you're interested in the crypto space is not only purchase like a Coinbase IPO, but other brokerages. Like there's obviously, if you haven't heard, there's a crypto exchange called Voyager. Basically, the ticker is VYGVF, and it's been pretty popular recently. Like in the last month, it's a 50%. But they're growing insanely. Like they're growing thousands of percent a month or like quarter over quarter. It's actually kind of nuts. And they are very small compared to Coinbase, but they're not that small. Like if you look at the App Store, they have 34,000 ratings, 4.8 stars. I believe Coinbase has 4.7, 1 million ratings. So they're probably like 5% of what Coinbase is. Like they're very small company. They're only a few $billion market cap. But if you guys are interested in that, I would definitely take a look at like a Voyager where if the Coinbase IPO does explode and it goes to $1,000, let's say it goes to 150 billion market cap. Voyager at 1 to 2 billion is very intriguing. I believe maybe Voyager's at like a 3 billion right now. Doesn't directly tell me the market cap. Maybe on finance, it's about $3 billion market cap if this is accurate. And if that's true, then I could see Voyager easily going to $5-10 billion market cap, and that's a 2-3x from here. And yeah, that's definitely pretty interesting. I mean, if I had to do it, I would maybe put a little bit into Voyager, and then if you want to do a Bitcoin play, that's good as well. I personally almost never buy IPOs, so now I'm going to talk about like what I'm doing personally. I personally never buy an IPO just because of the volatility of it. It's so crazy that I usually like to wait a few months to see where the coin settles, or where the stock settles, not the coin, but where the stock settles. And then I make a decision based on valuation and if I want to buy it from there. Now, when we saw like with Airbnb, for example, if you bought it IPO, you would have, if you bought it at IPO, you would have made money. If you bought it anywhere in the first week, you would have made money. I mean, this was like the most recent huge IPO, right? It's at 100 billion right now. Like you would have made money anytime. It went up 20%. If you bought it IPO day, you would have made 20%. So it's definitely pretty interesting there. Where obviously my strategy doesn't always work, but in terms of this type of market, anything is possible. So Coinbase could keep growing for months. It could also go down. You never know. But if you see, one thing is for sure, if Bitcoin or Ethereum falls in a huge amount or a huge way, Coinbase is going to follow it. So that's that. Now, something I found that was interesting. If you go to the stats on Coinbase, it's down quite a bit. Like, I don't know how the ranking or what happened here, but if we saw the ranking since March, it fell quite a bit. So this is basically the rank data. You want this to be up and up as much as possible. This is how much they're ranking in the websites. Another way of saying it, how much traffic they're getting, how many people are going onto their website. It fell quite a bit in April 7. And then what I saw was Bitcoin in April 7. If you go back to April 7, it fell from like 60,000 to 55. I mean, it fell like what, 5-10%. Wasn't a big drop, but is this why it fell? I mean, Ethereum also fell from 2,100 to 1,900. So that might be a reason why the traffic stopped. But you can see Coinbase is very fragile. So if Bitcoin falls 20%, a lot of people are going to just forget about Coinbase and pull out. A lot of people are going to get scared. A lot of people are trading cryptos and stuff. So most people on crypto, I would say, aren't like haven't been investing for like decades or many years. They're very new to the space. So I feel like it's very fragile in terms of that. That's another reason I might not be inclined of buying like an IPO straight off the bat. But trust me, if a few days, few weeks, even a few months pass and I see the prices start to be stabilized and I can get a better idea on how Coinbase is doing, maybe if the full Q1 earnings report comes out for Coinbase, like the full one, then I might look at that, and I'll definitely be intrigued into buying a Coinbase, like the IPO when it does release. So for me, it's a hold right now, or not a hold, but a wait for the IPO as it comes out. I'm gonna be making one more video on the Coinbase IPO on the actual earnings day, or not the earnings day, but the IPO day. So on April 14, it's probably gonna be around midday. is when they're actually going to IPO, and you're going to see the price of the stock and all that, exactly where it's trading at. It's probably going to jump straight up is my guess. So it may not be a bad idea to place some limit orders, if that's even possible, of where you think it's going to start out at, because I feel like it's going to jump out straight off the bat. And if you can get some buy orders there, that might be some easy money, but that's very unlikely. I've heard people try to do that. It's very unlikely, if it's not impossible, your order actually being fulfilled. So it's kind of like a lottery there. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel so you can stay tuned for my final Coinbase video when it actually IPOs, and more stock market videos and stuff like that on this channel. And I'll see you guys on my next video.